Hi, today we're going to talk about brake fluid for your bike, brake fluid for your car. So the first question is, what is brake fluid? Brake fluid is a fluid that sits in a reservoir, similar to this, sits in a reservoir, and the reservoir is connected to your brake pedal. This is roughly, basically, connected to your brake pedal. And from the master cylinder, it goes all the way to your brakes on each wheel, and it's filled with fluid. So the fluid in there, every time you press the brake pedal, the fluid pressurizes and it pushes the pistons on your brake calipers, it pushes them out, which pushes the pads onto your discs, and your vehicle stops. Pretty simple. So everybody that changes brakes, they think about their pads and discs and shoes, whatever type of brakes you've got, but they never think about the brake fluid. The brake fluid's a fluid, and it's hygroscopic, not hydro, but hygroscopic. Hygroscopic means it attracts moisture very easily. So over the course of time, you'll get moisture in your brake fluid, and your brake fluid won't work as well. So you're pressing your brake pedal, and you think, Jesus hell, I'm having to press a wee bit harder, not working. That's possibly because you've got moisture in your brake fluid. The other thing is, if you get a leak and you get air in your system, your brake's spongy and you're having to pump it to get it to work, or your fluid might be old and dirty. I mean, really dirty. You can have a look at it, look at the colour in your reservoir. If it's a nice clear colour, that's fine. If it's really cloudy and dirty, it's probably changed. Take the top off your fluid reservoir and have a sniff. And if it smells burnt, yeah, it needs change. So, yeah, so that's first question, brake fluid, what is it? So the next question is, how often should you change your brake fluid? Well, you know, if somebody comes up and says, so how's the brakes on your car going? Oh, they're going great, yeah, I changed the pads, I changed the discs the previous time, but I've changed the pads front and back this time. It's going great. What about your brake fluid? Don't know, what about it? It's the sort of thing nobody thinks about. And you know that it's recommended that you do it every 2 years. For most manufacturers, every 2 years to be on the safe side, so as it doesn't gather moisture, so as it doesn't deteriorate. So changing your brake fluid, you do that by bleeding your brakes. You've got a nipple on each wheel. You open that up, and your brake fluid, you can suck it out there or pump it through. I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. The way you do it is virtually the same on a car as it is on a motorbike. So yeah. So you're going to change your brake fluid, and you think, right, I've had a look in the cylinder. Now here it is in the Jeep here. You take the cap off, you have a wee look at it, you see what it's like. And if it's murky and dirty, then change it. If you've not done it in 2 or 3 years, change it. It doesn't take much to change. You can put it into a garage to get it done, but they'll charge about $300 just to do it, never mind the fluid. You can do it yourself quite easily at home. The type of brake fluid you get, you can get a .3, .4, .4 Super, .5, and the difference between each of them is the boiling point. So let me explain boiling point. So let's take my bike for instance. So I'm flying along the coast road and I'm braking. So there's your calipers there. Okay, and I'm braking really heavy. The calipers get really hot, the disc gets hot. That heat transfers from the caliper to the fluid. And then what happens then is your fluid gets really hot and it can boil. And once it boils, geez. If you've been flying along the road with your car or your bike and you're heavy braking and your brakes get hot and your fluid starts to boil a bit, then your fluid doesn't really work because it's burnt, it's past its best, you've cooked it. So your DOT is dependent on the manufacturer's recommendations for the boiling point of your brakes. Obviously, performance vehicles use a .5 because their performance, you know, on a racetrack or whatever, you're braking heavy, whereas your general purpose vehicle .3 does it. I'm putting .4 in my Jeep because that's what's recommended by Jeep. So yeah, so that's the difference between them, .3, .4 and .5. So have a look at your manual, it'll tell you exactly what type of brake fluid to put in your vehicle. So I've got this tool. This goes onto the air compressor. This was a tool I bought some time ago, and really it's a godsend when it comes to doing your brakes, because it means you can do them on your own. So, first thing to do is clean out the reservoir, suck all the fluid out. So you get this machine, you get the hose in, and you put it in the bottom of your reservoir, pull the trigger, and you will see it sucks all the fluid out, every bit of dirty fluid, because you don't want that. So, once you've done all that, sucked it all out as best you can, this is difficult because it's got a double. So we'll top this up with fluid and see how it goes. So fill it right up, try not to do what I've done and spill it, because it doesn't do your paintwork very good. Okay, so you need to keep an eye on that, make sure it's topped up at every point throughout the bleeding. There's the fluid in here that I've got out of there. Put this back on, and then I'll show you how to bleed your actual brakes. Okay, so the best thing to do, you start with the furthest away caliper, so it's at the rear, at the opposite side from the caliper. So take your rubber grommet off. It's an 11mm spanner. Just make sure it slackens, and then you put your self-bleeding kit onto your nipple, and then switch it on, slacken off the nipple and watch the fluid. And when you see the fluid go into a perfectly clear colour, you know that you've cleaned it all the fluid out that system. So that should work okay, hopefully. And I'll go and put my bleeding tool on. So there we go, it's sucking, so I'll just slacken off this nipple. And that's it, sucking out the fluid. So I don't want to run it too fast, or the fluid reservoir will go down quick in the car. And the last thing I want is it to go down too quick and lose fluid and then get air into the system. So as you can see the colour of that still pretty murky. So I'll just keep that running, and I'll go and check the front. So here we're at the front, just checking the fluid. It's going down slowly, so I'll give it a wee top up and then head back to the back of the vehicle. As you can see, my bottle's filling up. Fluid's still running through the pipe. It's still murky and black, so we'll wait. Well, as soon as it's clear, we just switch it off. Should say tighten the nipple, switch it off, top up the reservoir and go and do the next one. So that's been going for a minute or so, and if you hold the pipe up you'll see it's lovely clear fluid running through there, that sort of light green, so you know that that's new fluid all the way to this caliper. So just tighten the nipple again, take that off, and just take your spanner off and make sure it's 100% tight, a wee extra bit crank, and stick the grommet back on. There, now we'll go and do the other side, and then we'll do the front, and that should be it done. There's all brake fluid in there, pretty clarty, and the fluid inside the car is all nice and freshly topped up, lids back on, all good. So now I know, I'm 100% sure that the fluid in the car is efficient, it's going to do the job. And the next thing to do is give it a wee test run just to make sure the brakes are working fine, because if you don't, you go out one morning and forget you've done the brakes and something's wrong, you'll know about it. Anyway, let's go and give it a wee good test. So, I'm going to take it for a wee run, make sure the brakes are okay. Obviously I gave it a wee pump there just to make sure they're working, and they are. Wouldn't want to fly back, find out they don't work and there's a car coming up the road and boof. So yeah, just give it a wee run down the road. Give the brakes a wee tap, make sure they're okay. Ooh, that's better. Definitely okay. I can feel a difference already, because when I brake, I'm actually not pressing the brake pedal very hard, just touching it more or less and it's stopping. So that showed that there was obviously either a bit moisture in it or it was maybe just done. And to be quite honest, the brake fluid would be done, because it has been 2014. That's the first time it's been changed. And to be honest with you, I never even thought about doing the brake fluid at any time previous to this, because how often do you change brake fluid? But it has made a big difference. So if you've got a vehicle and you don't know when the last time brake fluid was changed, go out and have a wee look. Just see what your brake fluid looks like, and if you think, oh, that's a bit murky or it's been a long time, just change it. That tool I bought for bleeding the brakes, that air thing plugs into your air compressor. That's great. You can do it all yourself without any problem. The machine doesn't cost much, and once you've got it, you've got it. You can bleed your brakes at any time on any vehicle you've got. If a mate comes round and says, oh, my brakes aren't very good, you know, I'm needing to change my disc, could you give me a hand? You can also suggest, how about we do your brake fluid at the same time? It's worthwhile. Anyway, that seems to be pretty spot on. So, yeah, time to go in now and have a cup of coffee. I'll see you all later. Bye just now.